Now here's the truth, right? That's a dangerous road to go on. Because if we realize something about the gospel and the reality of our existence before God, who's holy and righteous, and our indebtedness to Him because of the crimes that we've committed against Him in word, thought, and deed, crimes of intentionality and crimes of mistake that we've done against God, each other, and the creation, and we recognize our guilt and the fact that what we actually deserve from God is His full, unrelenting wrath because of those things. Then we also realize I don't deserve anything. I don't deserve anything. I'm not entitled to anything. I remember one time I was wrestling with this reality, and a very good friend of mine was sitting across the table from me, and I'm just complaining because life's not going like I think it should, and things aren't working out like the way that I would want, and people have been mistreating me or maybe slandering and gossiping me, and finances were rough, and all, and I'm just like vomiting at the mouth all these things that are going on in my life, and he just looks at me, and we were at Starbucks, and he holds up his cup, and he says, Charlie, he goes, you know what I've realized throughout the years? He says, if I understand that what I deserve is the full cup of God's wrath, then even if in life I come up with an empty cup, I've got more than I deserve. I thought about this big in that moment, right? Because he just lovingly rebuked me and the pride and the arrogance that was in my heart, thinking I was entitled to anything more than what I was getting. And it hurt, and it hurt, and I was frustrated by that comment, but it checked my heart, and the Holy Spirit spoke into me in that moment and just kind of reorganized some things in my life. So I got back to the place of having a disposition before God and other people, realizing I'm not owed anything. It's all grace. It's all mercy. It's all good. So entitlement is one of those things that we can look for to discern whether or not we're building our life on us or on our abilities. And here's the other problem with choosing yourself and the things that you're good at to build your identity on. Seriously, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when those things fail and leave you? When those things fail and leave you. So for some of us here, maybe, because here's the honest truth, right? It's going to happen. You know that, right? If you pride yourself on being a good, let's say maybe a good child or a good spouse, one day is going to come where you're going to look at yourself in the mirror and feel like an absolute failure as a husband or a wife. Or if you built your identity around this idea of being a great parent, and you're not going to pass down any of the negative things to your children that you inherited from your parents, and they're going to be great, awesome, healthy, whole human beings, one day you're going to look at the mirror and you're going to realize, holy cow, I have absolutely blown it big time as a parent. Or if your sense of self and identity and worth is built on your career path, and things are going really good, and you're just totally wrapped up in that, and it's all about your job, and then all of a sudden the economy turns and the bottom falls out because the job that you've spent your entire life building and finding a sense of self in has now been stripped from you, and you're left with nothing. Am I the only one that's ever had those kinds of experiences? Or your sense of identity is wrapped up in a relationship with another person, and everything is great when they're around. We call this that teenage love thing, right? And then that relationship ends and the person is devastated because your life revolved around this other person. As long as they were there, everything's great because they were the center of your life, and your sense of identity and worth and values built upon that person. And now that they're gone, you're left with nothing. It's going to happen. Some of us in here, maybe that's already happened. Maybe you're here this morning and you're like, man, the bottom has already dropped out, and you feel like a failure, and you feel like you've just messed up big time, or there's this crushing sense of shame and guilt that are just kind of following you around, and you just can't feel like there's no way for you to get your footing.